Hello readers, welcome back to Reads with Rune B. Today we're doing chapter 3 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, A Caucus Race and a Long Tail. And here is a picture of the artwork from my particular book. There you can see Alice, the dodo, and all the other animals. This is after the caucus race, so let's begin. They were indeed a queer-looking party that assembled on the bank, the birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross, and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, was, how do they get dry again? They had a consultation about this, and after a few minutes it seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as if she had known them all her life. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with Laurie, who at last turned sulky, and would only say, "I'm older than you, and must know better." And this Alice would not allow, without knowing how old it was. And as the Laurie positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last, the mouse, who seemed to be a person of some authority among them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough." They all sat down at once, in a large ring, with the mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it, for she felt sure she would catch a bad cold if she did not get dry very soon. "Ahem," said the mouse, with an important air. "Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all around, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favoured by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria." "Ugh," said the Laurie, with a shiver. "I beg your pardon," said the mouse, frowning, but very politely. "Did you speak?" "Not I," said the Laurie hastily. "I thought you did," said the mouse. "I proceed. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stigand, the patriotic Bishop of Canterbury, found it advisable." "Found what?" said the duck. "Found it," the mouse replied rather crossly. "Of course you know what it means." "I know what it means well enough when I find a thing," said the duck. "It's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find?" The mouse did not notice this question, and hurriedly went on. "Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William, and offer him the crown. William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans— How are you getting on, my dear?" it continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. "As wet as ever," said Alice in a melancholy tone. "It doesn't seem to dry me at all." "In that case," said the dodo solemnly, rising to its feet, "I move the meeting adjourn for immediate adoption of more energetic remedies." "Speak English," said the eaglet. "I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either." And the eaglet bent its head down to hide a smile, and some of the other birds tittered audibly. "What I was going to say," said the dodo in an offended tone, "was the best thing to get us dry would be a caucus race." "What is a caucus race?" said Alice. Not that she much wanted to know, but the dodo had paused, as if it thought someone ought to speak, and no one else seemed inclined to say anything. "Why," said the dodo, "the best way to explain it is to do it. I mean, as you might like to try try the thing yourself some winter day. Some winter's day. I will tell you how the dodo managed it. And here is the dodo and everyone else conducting the caucus race. First, it marked out a race course, a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party were placed along it, here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3 away, but they all began running when they liked, and all left off when they liked. And so it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running half an hour or so, they were all quite dry again, and the dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over!" And all crowded around it, panting and asking, "But who has won?" This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it sat for a long time with its finger pressed on its forehead, in the position which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last the dodo said, "Everyone has won, and all must have prizes." "But who is to give the prizes?" quite a chorus of voices asked. "Why, she, of course," said the dodo, pointing to Alice with one finger, and the whole party at once crowded around her, calling out in a confused way, "Prizes! Prizes!" Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hands into her pocket and pulled out a box of comfits. Luckily, no salt water had gotten into it, and handed them around as prizes. There was exactly one apiece all around. "But she must have a prize herself, you know," said the mouse. "Of course," the dodo replied gravely. "What else have you got in your pocket?" he went on, turning to Alice. "Only a thimble," said Alice sadly. "Hand it over here," said the dodo, and they all crowded around her once more, while the dodo solemnly presented the thimble, saying, "We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble." And then, when that had finished that short speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very absurd, but they all looked so grave that she dare not laugh, and as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble, looking as solemn as she could. The next thing was to eat the comfits. This caused some noise and confusion, as the large birds complained that they couldn't taste theirs, and the small ones choked, and had to be patted on the back. However, soon it was eating, and they sat down again in the ring and begged the mouse to tell them something more. "You promised to tell me something of your history, you know," said Alice, "and why it is you hate C and D," she added in a whisper, half afraid it would be offended again. "Mine is a long and sad tale," said the mouse, turning to Alice with a sigh. "It is a long tale, certainly," said Alice, looking down with wonder at the mouse's tail. "But why do you call it sad?" And she kept on puzzling about it, while the mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. The fairy said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial, we must have a trial. For really this morning I have nothing to do." Said the mouse to the cur, "Such trial, dear sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath." "I'll be the judge, I'll be the jury," said the cunning old fury. "I'll try the whole cause, and condemn you to death." "You are not attending," said the mouse to Alice severely. "What are you thinking of? I beg your pardon," said Alice very humbly. "You had gotten to the fifth bend, I think?" "I had not," cried the mouse, sharply and very angrily. "I'm not," said Alice, always ready to make herself useful, and looked anxiously about herself. "Oh, do let me help you undo it." "I shall do nothing of the sort," said the mouse, getting up and walking away. "You insult me by talking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, pleaded poor Alice. But you are so easily offended, you know. The mouse only growled in reply. Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it, and the others joined in the chorus. Yes, yes, please do, please do. But the mouse only shook its head impatiently and walked away a little quicker. What a pity it wouldn't stay, sighed the lorry as soon as it was quite out of sight. An old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter, Ah, my dear, let that be a lesson to you. Never lose your temper. Hold your tongue, Ma, said the young crab, a little snappishly. You're enough to try the patience of an oyster. I wish I had our Dinah here. I know I do, said Alice, aloud, addressing no one in particular. She'd soon fetch it back. And who is Dinah, if I might venture to ask the question, said the lorry. Alice eagerly replied, for she was always ready to talk about her pet. Dinah is our cat. She's such a capital one for catching mice, you can't think. And oh, I only wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'll eat a little bird as soon as look at it. This speech caused a remarkable sensation among the party. Some of the birds hurried off at once. One magpie began wrapping itself up very carefully, and remarking, I really must be getting home, the night air doesn't suit my throat. And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children, Come away, my dears, it's high time you were all in bed. And on various pretexts, they all moved off, and Alice was soon left alone. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah, she said to herself in a melancholy tone. No one seems to like her down here. I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dinah, I wonder if I shall ever see you any more. And here poor Alice began to cry again, for she felt very lonely and low-spirited. In a little while, however, she again heard the pattering of footsteps in the distance, and looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed its mind and was coming back to finish its story. And there ends chapter 3. And we shall see you tomorrow, dear readers. Until then, keep reading.